Hi, this is Dodger and you're watching my show.
Three, two, one, ready, go.
Last week we had some pretty substantial audio problems, so I'm really sorry about that. Like, to the point where talking about EVO was completely moot because EVO was over by the time I got the video up, so I'm really sorry about that. Basically, I tried to clean up the audio, did not work, wound up sounding as though each time there was a jump cut, I was just underwater for a split second. It was very bizarre. Sounded fine on my end before I exported. Apparently the exporting process borked it a little bit, and I couldn't figure out how to fix it. So, thanks for hanging in there, being awesome, and we'll try to fix the audio again some other time. But speaking of EVO, if you didn't watch it, it was awesome, aside from the fact that Jamie Lee Curtis showed up with her son as a graduation present dressed as Vega. What? It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Nobody had any idea she was there until it was all over. But EVO in general had a couple of things that they announced, because not only is it a tournament, it's also a great platform to have this huge fighting game audience that you can announce stuff with. So for Street Fighter, they announced a new character named Necalli, who looks awesome. Totally looks like my fighting style as well, because from what we've seen so far, it's a lot of really close range, just bashy attacks, you know, just lots of damage as long as they can get in there, right? So super, super fun to watch. Hailing from a mysterious background, Necalli utilizes a wild, animalistic fighting style to brutalize his opponents. There's no finesse here, as all of his attacks have been forged through the heat of battle to inflict maximum pain upon his opponents. However, beneath the surface of the crazed warrior lies a hidden genius that is unleashed upon V-trigger activation. Players who enjoy a straightforward, hard-hitting character will feel right at home with Necalli, as he possesses a wide variety of savage, close-range attacks, as well as a command grab, all with the goal of demolishing his foes. He basically looks like if Akuma and Blanca had a baby. In my mind, that's basically what this is. Still totally cool with it though, and like the V-trigger activation makes him look super awesome. Like, he already looks awesome, and then you use like his super with the V-trigger and he's just like fire god looking. Anyway, it was super awesome to see the fighting game community in general be sort of excited about a new character, because, you know, I can sit around and complain all I want that, well, maybe you could put Juri Han in the game. I don't know, like, maybe if you wanna, that would be super awesome if you put Juri in there. But like, no matter how much we all complain about individual characters that haven't been announced yet, or maybe aren't even planned to be in the game, it's awesome to see them putting some effort into new characters, you know? But on the deep, dark side of Street Fighter V, the beta is going really badly so far. I mean, the Street Fighter V beta is something that a lot of people have been looking forward to, so imagine their surprise and sadness when it just was not working. Now remember that the beta was promised as a pre-order bonus, so it is something that they need to get working right, at least to the point where people can play it. Apparently, just today or maybe yesterday, people started being able to play it again. They did have to take it down for extended maintenance. People are getting errors along the lines of servers at capacity, which is bad. Or just general connectivity issues, and they were being bombarded with this when the beta first went live. But something that we have to keep in mind is a beta is not a demo. A beta is something that you use to make the game better, to find issues, and they are finding all kinds of issues. So as much as people are like, hey, but I pre-ordered, like, I'm supposed to get into the beta, this is an issue that is being tested in the beta, and it happened immediately. So the quicker that they can fix all of these things, the quicker that you can get to more of the nitty-gritty bugs on problems that need to be fixed. So rather than thinking of it as like, hey, I pre-ordered and I'm supposed to be able to play this game now, that's what you promised. Remember that what it really is I pre-ordered this game, and so I am voluntarily subjecting myself to this process of beta testing. Hopefully it'll all be working again very soon, but we don't really know when it's going to be stable just yet. It sounds like they're really focusing more than anything on upping the server capacity, and that's going to take a little bit of time and a little bit of testing. So Enjoy! The 5.14 patch for League of Legends dropped, and with it came lots of piratey goodness. I was watching the trailer and it looked so fun, it made me really want to play League of Legends, so I made sure to go to a few friends and say, hey, could you just remind me that no matter what, I'm going to be terrible at this game? And they were like, no matter how many cute pirate things are in the game, you're gonna be terrible at it. And I was like, thank you. But it looks really, really fun. Any of you who know the map Howling Abyss, it has been reskinned, so it looks super cool. Howling Abyss is now called Butcher's Bridge, and some of the characters already had pirate-themed skins, but they've upgraded some of them and given some characters a new pirate skin, so that's fun. Now remember, this is part of a larger seasonal event called Bilgewater Burning Tides, which is going to add some new mechanics and change some stuff up. But Bilgewater is also, lore-wise, associated with all of the more nautical-themed characters anyway, so you're going to be adding, I think, some new challenges and things for them. So if you're into League of Legends, I'm sure you're gonna have lots of fun. I'm gonna wind up trying to play it and remember how bad I am at it, but I think I'll still have fun because it just looks super cool. I don't know. Hearthstone has announced a new expansion called the Grand Tournament. It will come with a new storyline as well as lots of new cards that are based on something sort of interesting. So as most of you know, every time they add new sets of cards to the game, it's focused on something very specific. So I was really curious to see what these cards were going to focus on, and oddly enough, it's entirely focused on hero power. There's going to be an element called Inspire that will be on some cards, and it's going to be entirely associated with how often you use your hero power, whether you get rewarded for using it or it inspires you to use it more. Now, Grand Tournament, just like most of the other expansions, except for I think Goblins vs. Gnomes, is based off of a raid, so it's going to be very adventure-based. The story element to it is going to be the most important part, but I think the cards could wind up playing super interestingly into just general play. Super interestingly, that was a good way to put that. You guys know what I mean. I also love the weird division that starts to happen once a card game has been around for a long time, because when it first comes out, there are people going, there isn't enough replayability, the meta isn't able to change often enough because there aren't enough cards, you need to be putting out more cards consistently, just like Magic the Gathering does. And then, once there's lots of cards and more cards continuing to come out, there are people who, and honestly, I feel this way, but I realize how silly it is to complain about it. There are going to be lots of people who say, there's too many cards, I'll never catch up. Like, I still don't have all of the cards from the very first base set of cards. Like, how am I ever gonna catch up and know the way that the game is supposed to be played with the cards that have come out so far? And I totally feel that way, but I realize that it's so counterintuitive toward how everybody else who's feeling who consistently plays the game. So is there a way to make it so that everybody's happy, so that people don't feel left behind, but the people who are totally caught up on stuff feel as though the game is constantly changing and living? I really don't think there is. In the end, it's just, if you enjoy playing the game, then just play it casually until you have a better handle on the game in general and feel like you can compete again. But yeah, anybody who's like, oh god, another one, I'll never catch up, I feel you. Summer Games Done Quick has started, which means a week of speedruns. Oh, I love it so much. For those of you who don't know Games Done Quick, it's gonna be a week-long speed-run-a-thon, essentially, where they play lots of different games with very popular speedrunners. Donations are going to Doctors Without Borders, which is a fantastic organization. And if you donate, you can possibly win a prize, so there's also that. As a person who could sit and watch speedruns literally forever, I love it when they do these. I love it so much, and they always raise lots of money for a good cause. So you should definitely check it out, and I'll put a link in the description. And as a final bit of news, the Pro Gaming League ESL has decided to start doing drug tests for all of their tournaments. Why? Because people were using drugs, and they copped to it, but they didn't seem to think it was too big of a deal. They were like, yeah, what? We've all been using Adderall. What's the problem? ESL jumped to action like immediately. They were like, oh heck no. If we are going to be, you know, recognized as actual sports, we need to treat this like actual sports. We need to have a level playing field, and that means no drugs. Now you might be wondering, but Dodger, what if somebody needs that? Like, what if they have a prescription for something that can be abused, but they're not abusing it? And that is also going to be regulated in the same way that they would for a normal sport. So now they're going to be doing randomized drug tests. They're adding it into their rules and regulations, what happens if somebody's caught using drugs. But basically they've said, you know what? we're gonna treat it just like cheating. And that means if you're cheating, you ruin it for your entire team. If you're abusing drugs, then that means your entire team will not be able to compete. Overall, the community has responded very positively to this because, again, not only does it show us as a sport maturing in the world of sports in general, but also it means that there's a level playing field for everybody, that everybody knows that things are going to be on the level. However, the fact that it's randomized means that that might not always be true, and that sort of leaves a weird taste in my mouth. Like, maybe you'd get caught, but maybe not, question mark. It'll inspire a weird element of fear for people, but it won't necessarily fix the problem, you know? And again, they're going to be the first ones in the world of esports to even attempt doing something like this. So I'm sure they're going to make plenty of mistakes, but that also means that they've sort of like reached out their hand to everybody else and said, look, we're gonna try to figure this out, and for everybody else who's putting on gaming leagues and things like that, contact us and we'll tell you what we've done and what worked and what didn't, and we'll make sure that all of us are creating that level playing field that we need. It's an interesting time, but I'm proud. I'm glad that we're starting to move toward that direction where it's like, no, this needs to be taken seriously. This is a competition. And I'm glad that they're working with companies like WADA, which runs all of the Olympics drug testing, you know? It's gonna be really expensive. It's probably gonna be something with lots of bumps in the road, but hopefully it'll all work out and we'll be moving on our way to being even more legitimate. Anywho, that's been my show. Thank you so much for watching. If you have a positive or a negative response, feel free to leave it in my comment section. And if you would like to have coffee with me, you can click wherever I put the annotation and it'll take you to my other channel. I will be gone for the next 2 weeks worth of news. Why? Because I'm going to be at CoxCon, and then that's going to be my birthday week, so since I'm already going to be in England, I'm going to hang out with my boyfriend and his family and just take like a little week-long vacation. So I'll be gone for 2 Sundays in a row, but you will have the lovely Happily Aaron and the also lovely Mr. Octopimp doing 2 different news episodes. I don't know what sort of news they're gonna do. I just leave it up to them and say, do whatever feels right. So I hope that you enjoy and be nice to them. And otherwise, I will see you guys in a couple weeks. Oh my gosh, wow. All right, bye-bye. Mwah. You guys know what I mean.